Kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
All right. Hey guys, what's up? It's Double K here, coming back for another great episode of Double K's Classroom. This week we're going to talk a little NBA playoffs, and then we'll get to a little bit of NFL and MLB on the opposite side. We're going to start with the Eastern Conference Finals between the Heat and the Celtics. I believe the Heat beat the Bucks to get there, and the Celtics beat, oh God, I forget who the Celtics beat. Let me see if I can go down further here and see what okay. Well, I forget who the Celtics beat to get there, but Toronto. Celtics beat Toronto, and the Heat beat the Bucks to get to this Eastern Conference Finals, and it's been pretty much all Heat, showing you that the hot hand coming in is normally the hot hand throughout the series. Most of the time, the Heat came in with a 3-point victory over the Celtics in Game 1. 5-point victory in Game 2. The Celtics managed, when they got back Gordon Howard, to win Game 3, but being the genius that he is, working underneath Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra made some adjustments, and the Heat were able, and also including 37 points from Tyler Hero. The Heat ended up taking Game 3, and it looks like they're about to close out the series tomorrow night in the bubble. I think that this has been one of the better series, despite what eventually looks like a 4-1, maybe 4-2 finish, because of the fact that these two teams match up very well. But I think the key difference between the two is just the Heat are just hungrier right now. Not to mention the fact that, I'm sorry, they have what I call a token guy that can get the job done in Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala, for 5 years, he's one win away from going to his 6th straight finals. After having been in 5 straight finals with the Warriors, and now this one with the Heat. He might be ready to win his 4th championship in 6 titles. say so. I think he makes a difference helping coming off the bench. He's basically serving a very similar role to what he served in Golden State, coming off the bench and inspiring the young bucks to play good defense, so on and so forth. So thank you, Andre Iguodala, for handling your business in Golden State, and I wish you all the luck in Miami because it looks like y'all are on your way to the finals. And actually, I said this on West Coast Bias. I told Abdul, I said, um, I don't, I don't know uh, about anybody else, but I personally feel the Lakers don't want to see the Heat because the Heat have Jimmy Butler and Andre Iguodala, both who have given LeBron James fits in the past. Will they continue to? I don't know. We'll see because it looks like that's going to be the matchup. But Denver may have something to say about that, but I don't think Boston will. I think whether this is over in Game 5 or Game 6, the Heat are going to end up taking this series. So that's the Eastern Conference Finals. The Western Conference Finals, the Nuggets are currently down 2-1 after winning Game 3. The Lakers have an 83% chance, according to BPI, of winning Game 4, which I said I expect them to, but I don't know. This Nuggets team is pretty scrappy. They did come back 4-1 from 3-1 down against the Jazz, and they did come back from 3-1 down against a very stacked Clippers team. Now, I don't think that they should allow themselves to get down 3-1 against the Lakers because I think it'll be a much tougher task than it was the previous two times. But I think if they can even this series up 2-2 and make a series of it, they have just as much shot to me, even though BPI won't agree with me. I think they have just as much shot as anybody else. Starting with Jokic in the middle and Jamal Murray's excellent play as a point guard. I wouldn't put him top 3 in the league yet, but he's definitely proven that he's an elite point guard within this league. So we'll see. We'll see moving forward through 3 games. The Lakers won game 126 or by 12, so it made it look like the Lakers were just going to dominate. Then they barely won game 2, and they barely won game 2 with a 105-103 victory, and then the Nuggets ended up winning game 3, 114-106. Now, it would be funny if this started a trend and the Nuggets won game 4 and game 5 and sent this series to a game 6 with the Nuggets actually leading 3-2, but I don't think that's going to happen. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are just too much for most teams. But once again, should make for an interesting series. I don't think it's going to go long. I definitely don't see it going 7 games. Whether the Nuggets or the Lakers win, I don't see the series going past 6. But overall, Anthony Davis, who hit the game winner in Game 2, has been one of the highlights for the Lakers, along with LeBron James. I believe LeBron has had at least one bad game this series, but Anthony Davis has been pretty consistent, averaging I think like 25 and like 12 or something like that. Like the guy's a beast, and I think he will be the key to whether or not the Lakers can get to the finals. But let's say they do. My prediction has always been Lakers Heat since we did West Coast Bias this weekend. So let's look at that for the NBA Finals. Lakers and Heat playing against each other will make for an interesting conference finals because of the storylines. First and foremost, it'll be the first time LeBron James is facing the Heat in the NBA Finals since he left the Heat. And they've been to the playoffs just about every year since. They haven't gone deep, but they've been to the playoffs. So does that mean that the Miami team wasn't as bad, or the Miami team wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was after Bron left? Who knows? Does that hurt Bron's legacy like they say it does Jordan's legacy, the fact that the Bulls made the playoffs the 2 years that Michael Jordan took off? Who knows? Who knows? It all depends on what fans looking at it. I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Lakers. Because they have such a strong team, it's kind of like Golden State. I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. But that doesn't mean that he can't win, and that doesn't mean I think it's going to be a sweep. It's going to go at least 6 games regardless of which way it goes. But like I told you before, I have this weird feeling about Jimmy Butler and Andre Iguodala that they can give LeBron James fits and pretty much make this series about Anthony Davis putting the Lakers on his back and driving them to victory. Because there's a lot of players from Dragic to this Tyler Harry kid to Goran Dragic to this Tyler Hayer kid to to Jimmy Butler that can score. They got a lot of scorers on Miami. So they could, like I said, they could eat up the Lakers on both sides of the court. You never really know. But we'll have to watch to see. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with West Coast Bias as soon as the finals are over, to allow Duel to brag about what he wants to do or brag about the Lakers winning. We'll see for the first time in a long time. But be sure to listen in to the other shows on the network. We got Mr. Deacon's Experience tomorrow. We've got Inspire Radio on Sunday. We've got Cheap Pop Podcast on Sunday. We've got Brick House on Sunday, along with Now versus Then. We also have Dirty Talk 101 on Monday. Sorry about that. Dirty Talk 101 on Monday, along with Wednesdays being Kelly Kell with Lip Gloss and Mics and Kings and Queens of Porn. And then Thursdays being made just for Lovely Radio as well, and Miss Toy. And then Fridays come back to me next week with Double K's Classroom, where I review some of the top hits from 1993 and start cycle all over again. But for now, you are listening to Double K's Classroom right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Hey listener, Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. My co-host and I want to invite you to check out our little corner of the podcast verse. At Voice from the Underground, we talk about all the crazy happening around us and try to make a little bit of sense out of the nonsense with little to no results. If the idea of hearing three semi-intelligent, outspoken nerds talk about politics, social issues, current events, sports, movies, pretty much anything that we decide to talk about because, well, it's our show, appeals to you, grab your shovel and come on down to the underground, and then consult a qualified psychotherapist. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, just not where you buy your weed.
Voice from the Underground.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
About that, went right into the outro there. We don't want to do the outro quite yet. Sorry, guys. All right, so second half of the show, we got 49ers. We got the 49ers facing off in week 3. We got the 49ers facing off in week 3 against the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium, where that turf took about 2 or 3 of their players last week, and hopefully it won't take any more this week, because this team cannot afford any long-term injuries, any more long-term injuries. You got Nick Bosa out for the season, Solomon Thomas out for the season, Raheem Mostert out for tomorrow, Tevin Coleman out for at least 2 to 4 weeks, Deebo Samuel still on the IR till week 4. What else? What else? D Ford's out with a neck injury. Richard Sherman's on the IR. Like, that's 7 of their starters right there, all on the IR. 6 starters and 1 backup, all on the IR. So This team's got to get healthy and got to get healthy quick, but luckily they have the Giants, the Eagles, and the Dolphins coming up over the next 3 weeks. All three teams are 0-2, so the Niners have a good chance of being able to get those 3 wins. On top of, Jimmy Garoppolo's out for this week as well, but he should be back as well. But they got those 3 going on, but they also did bring up Cam Jordan or Deion Jordan, former first-round draft pick, defensive lineman from the practice squad, and signed Ziggy Ansah to a 1-year, $3 million deal. So this team is still got the bodies. It's just a matter of they need the people on the defensive line to step up to be as good as that team was last year without Nick Bosa, or as close to that. This week for the Raiders, who are now 2-0 after beating New Orleans last week and beating Detroit the week before that. They will be facing off against the New England Patriots, a team that's 1-1, I believe. Either 1-1 or 2-0, but they're a damn good team, and this should be a damn good matchup. The Raiders defense played the Saints hard. I expect them to play Cam Newton and the Patriots hard, and the Patriots defense is good, so it's going to put some clamps down on that Raiders offense that has been playing well. Both teams look to improve their position, but the Raiders need the win more, primarily because they play in the NFC West or AFC West, where Kansas City, the current reigning Super Bowl champs, are. And let me tell you, that's not going to be an easy ride. But they do have an extra spot in the playoffs to work with, so there's a good chance that they could still make the playoffs. Moving over to MLB, we're almost I think there's about 5 games left in the season for each team. The playoffs are pretty much starting to get locked up. I know that Oakland's made it. The Dodgers have locked their spot in. I want to say Minnesota has locked their spot in with the Minnesota with the White Sox have locked up their spot. Minnesota, I believe, has locked up a spot. This is going to be interesting because it's going to be an 8-team playoff from each league. So we'll see where Oakland fits. I think they'll end up being a 1 or a 2 seed, so they'll probably play their first round series at home. Hopefully fans will be able to be back in minimal capacity by that point, but we'll see. But let's go Oakland. This is a season that they could steal a championship and add one to their record, no matter whether you want to put an asterisk by it or not. They could steal a championship. Like I'm looking to try to do in my fantasy football. My fantasy football leagues, I'm 2-0 in my $100 league and 1-1 in my league. I've made several moves recently, including I've had to drop multiple kickers. Talk about having bad luck. I had Siebert from Cleveland. Then he got released after going 0 for 3. And giving me -3 points. So I picked up Lambeau for the Jags, but then he got put on the IR that same week, and now I've got Dan Bailey and hope that he can produce some points for me. That's my 1-1 league on ESPN. I ended up with Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Kyler Murray, which is a great start. Raheem Mostert, who's on who's out right now and doubtful for this week, but most likely won't play. Tyler Higbee has been a blessing in disguise, putting up 23 points for me last week with a 3-touchdown performance. And the 49ers D has been all right. They've been better than what I would have gotten out of the Chargers D. So far, J.K. Dobbins has put forth a couple of good efforts. I also have James White, but I just got rid of Eric Ebron, who was drafted by me, and replaced him with Frank Gore. Brandon Ayuk only has gotten me about 6 points total between the 2 weeks. I'm looking to drop him, but I don't know for who. And then Jimmy Garoppolo has put up some good numbers. He started for me week 1, but week 2 I went with Kyler Murray because that kid's just hot right now. With my Yahoo League, with all my boys, I've got rid of Cortland Sutton when he went on the IR and picked up Damian Harris from the Saints. I drafted Deebo Samuel to put him on my IR because he'll be due back within the next couple of weeks. Noah Fant has been a fucking revelation with 32 points in 2 weeks. Who else? Drew Brees has surprised me with only 34 points over 2 weeks, but I also got rid of Chase Edmonds. He did well for me the first week at 13 points, but only put up 2 the next week for Darrell Henderson Jr., which will be the guy that's splitting starting reps with the Rams, for the Rams with Michael Brown, I think his name is. N'Keal Harry for the Patriots put up 11 for me last week to help me win. The Bills defense has put up a total of 11 points, and the Niners defense 12 on the Yahoo League that I'm in. Russell Wilson has been my starter both weeks, giving me 71 points between the 2 weeks, along with Raheem Mostert, who gave me 40 despite his over 2 weeks despite his injury. But Jerick McKinnon, who's also on my lineup, should be starting for the Niners this week with Coleman and Mostert out. So I hope he should be able to continue on his upward stretch. He got 12 for me the first week, 16 for me the second week. Julio Jones has been a disappointment, only getting 23 points over 2 weeks. But Josh Jacobs has been a revelation with his 45 points. I'm 2-0 in that league and hope to get to 3-0 this week. We'll see how things flex out. I'll talk to you guys again in about 2 weeks, where we'll probably be discussing the NBA Finals and the MLB playoffs. But next week I'll be doing KD5P, where I'll be doing, like I said, top hits or number one hits from 1993. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Like I said, keeping it short this week for this particular podcast, but I will join you guys again on Sunday for this week's Cheap Pop Podcast with Alpha, and then I'll see you next week. Till then, peace.